That goes for any of the channels where we see the switching behavior, and really any of the DID channels in general.
I will not hide myself because some other asshole decided I should be hiding myself. That's stupid.
They spend years hiding the symptoms, out of shame and, honestly, confusion.
No, I always knew what was happening. I just thought it was a demon and that anyone knowing would try to fucking kill me. I also find it kind of hilarious that people who only see the system in a doctor setting think that we're like this everywhere. That's like a kid thinking a teacher lives in a school.
The actual medical community describes DID as a defense against trauma that people hide. Dissociative has built a 7-figure subscriber career by doing the literal opposite, and then...
Because we shouldn't have to. Jesus Christ, I'm Mystique.
Wasn't in any of the previous years of trauma narratives. It appeared...
It's almost like it's a forgetting disorder. You know, I'm kind of understanding why they had alter-specific introductions. It would make it easier if you want to explain a thing and don't want to do it every video. Oh no, the media we ingest has something to do with the world in our head, especially when it comes to visual people.
Community investigators have been documenting for years in publicly...
Community investigators is a funny word for bullies, but carry on.
Why does a mentally ill disabled woman who can't work need to raise nearly £200,000 from her audience, while simultaneously running a monetized YouTube channel, a monetized Patreon, a monetized Ko-Fi, a monetized TikTok, a merch store on Teespring, and a merch store on Redbubble, and a registered limited company on Company's House, while producing enough content to stay the biggest DID creator on the platform?
Who's the idiot saying that one person is what every person of that kind is like? Isn't that like racism but for mental illness? Is there an ism word for that? Test. Okay. Let me introduce myself. I am Sigil. I have DID, diagnosed and fused about 26-ish alters. System has been holding strong at a solid 4.5 members for a year and 2 months. I'm sure you can figure out which one I am. I believe in you, or I might say later, who knows. I hear I've been punching up since like 5 or 6. And this trash content is easy as shit to debunk due to its Dunning-Kruger-ass confidently wrong takes. And the YouTube algo gifted me this after I randomly asked both Twitter and Blue Sky if people still made this shit. So I'm jumping on it. Anyway, let's see how bad this is, and you get my void cat, cause this guy can't be asked to use his face either. Here we go.
Despite all the time that's passed, Dissociative still appears to be one of the biggest content creators on YouTube,
Can't even pronounce the name right.
associated with DID, but
Motherfucker.
as time has gone on, the cracks have certainly shown, and, in my opinion, have gotten a hell of a lot worse.
Well, this is the most stupid thing I've had to do in a while. You do realise this is literally just talking to a camera, right? This is stupid. This is so stupid. I feel like an idiot. Hello, my name is Ruby. I am an ex-persecutor turned protector of the system, the dissociated system, apparently, as we're now called. Just a stupid name.
At this point, it's just plain obvious. She claims to have DID, dissociated identity disorder, and she has for a number of years now, even going on Anthony Radia's YouTube channel.
I'm trying very hard to stay in a body.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm sorry.
If you need to take a moment, totally cool.
I'm just watching, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. We got plenty of time, like I was saying.
It's hard.
Hey, I know it's hard, but you're so strong because you flew all the way out here, and and it's okay to feel these things because, yeah, like I said, you're here to talk about it. Do you want to take a quick moment?
Sorry, what?
Do you want to take a quick moment off the stage?
No, I'm here now, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
It's
no
Kyle.
worries. Hello, Kyle.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, good
Some of the biggest videos
switch.
on his channel even. But despite that, just take one quick look at her YouTube account or TikTok, and well, you'll see how some users find her over-exaggerated flair of this disorder a little bit upsetting. For instance, how she changes.
We're literally known to be eccentric, so stupid.
Her outfits, changes her makeup, gives...
If I had a body and a face like that, I would probably be making it up and dressing it up too, just saying.
Some personalities and different names and can switch instantaneously on camera. Then when you start to add on the law
I can also switch instantaneously on camera, and I can cause switches, because holy shit, therapy works.
lawsuits she's going through, also being accused of having alters associated with fictional characters, is not looking very good. So,
Oh boy,
is
I am specifically the right person to be doing this. You know what? I have things to do. I will sit down and do this more later.
on camera? Then when you start to add on the lawsuits she's going through,
She's literally in a lawsuit because somebody tried to copyright claim her for something that they barely did, that had nothing to do with the actual content she was making. It was just like a frickin' disclaimer, and the guy keeps losing and has more money than brains, so...
associated with fictional characters, is not looking very good. So, who is dissociative?
Dissociative is a channel that's dedicated to spreading awareness, education, and destigmatizing dissociative identity disorder, which used to be known as multiple personality disorder.
What I'm getting at is essentially the person is using the law to bully her at this very moment. Bully them at this very moment.
This video is a Meet the Alters mini
And any money she takes for it doesn't go to her, it goes directly to the lawyers through a program that they have over there.
series video where we introduce alters. In this case, it's all the female alters in one go in short segments as much as possible, because this is what our patrons voted for.
Well, she became the biggest
I wouldn't really suggest that, but this was new territory for anyone with DID, and frankly, we needed it. She was incredibly valuable in helping me figure out what was wrong with me, because it all looked right. Resume.
face of a dissociative identity disorder on YouTube by switching personalities on camera, a new outfit, a new wig, and a new voice.
She didn't switch wigs in live switches, that's stupid. So whoever wakes up in the body gets to decide what to do with how you dress up that day. The rest of you pretty much, unless you plan to be in your closet the whole time, or are actually filming a video where you want to look like yourself, how you see yourself inside, or portray yourself with the just stuff you like. It's kind of like a normal person wearing a shirt that has something they like on it, and then somebody else wearing a completely different shirt. Except we share a body. Resume.
Voice, sometimes a new accent as well. All of it filmed, edited, color graded, and uploaded to over 1 million subscribers. Real Doctor
It's almost like somebody who likes the artistic flair of makeup and fashion would also have an artistic flair for the shit that they're making online.
who treat real DID say that this is just simply not how the disorder works.
Is she faking it? Does she really have the disorder? I have no way of knowing that. And that's not just
She's faking it. Meanwhile, the scene this guy picks is someone saying they literally can't tell by what is shown online.
just with her. That goes for any of the channels where we see the switching behavior, and really any of the DID channels in general.
I will not hide myself because some other asshole decided I should be hiding myself. That's stupid.
She does seem more articulate than Trisha Paytas, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the information is accurate. The bottom line here is it's impossible really to prove or disprove the ID, which is why many, if not most mental health clinicians, are skeptical about the disorder. So this brings...
They're also idiots. There's literally proof of the shit happening. They're specialists. Literally every DID person I've known has the exact same method for how the brain works, which is what science usually groups together in a study to learn of this shit. Can you not? You're interrupting. Fuck. Try again later. Y'all, I haven't been able to sit down to record in like a week. So, oh, I also accidentally deleted my other layout. Well, editing it broke another one because I copied it, and I don't understand OBS that well. I just know enough to run it and make a layout. Anyway, I don't remember exactly where I left off, so let's just start here. I know this guy was talking. Bonk.
disorder works.
Is she faking it? Does she really have the disorder? I have no way of knowing that. And that's not just with her. That goes for any of the channels where
Literally no one is in somebody else's head to know for sure. Yes. Constantly hunting for fakes is just making the real ones want to bury themselves. Which is counterproductive, actually, and hurts the group more than a fake would.
which is why many, if not most mental health clinicians are skeptical about the disorder.
I had a fucking... hold on. When we were, God damn it. When we were finally looking for help for what we were dealing with, we talked to a psychiatrist. We were there for something else, but because another one of us wanted help for the DID shit, it got brought up, and that bitch said acknowledging them makes it worse, which is not only false, but the exact opposite of what I needed to heal it. You have to acknowledge them. You have to acknowledge their feelings. It is a part of you that feels a certain way about something and needs to unravel it, and you can't really do that without another person, which is why therapy is so helpful for this shit. I didn't use therapy for most of it, but that was... honestly, it was stupid on my part. But I had safe people around me, and they helped more than I could ever say. Okay, you can go back to it. Heck sakes. Anyway.
So this brings me to a few concerns about these, I'll call them switching channels, in general. So I'm not being specific here to Trisha Paytas or to Nin. I'm talking in general terms. Are these symptoms fake in these channels? Well, everyone needs to decide that for themselves. But for the
Depends on the channel.
channels that are faking symptoms, they are really very offensive to people with DID.
If you're faking it, you have a different problem. If you're faking it, you'll notice eventually. You'll realize that you're, like, forcing something.
Or dissociative symptoms, and they're destructive in other ways. I'll look at 6 ways here in this video. The first, watching these switching channels is as far as some people go to learn, which is actually pretty scary, right? Some people believe everything they see in a video is real. And with the people who
Switching channels don't make it scary. They're what made it less scary. What?
are faking, they're not saying, look, this isn't real, they're not putting a disclaimer up. They're acting like it is real. So if somebody watches one of those videos, or several of them, and they believe
Okay, but it is real.
that's how DID really looks, and they believe it's highly prevalent, they could be getting
I literally realized at it by watching Switch. It does look like that.
bad information.
Her real name, Chloe, created her YouTube channel in 2028. On paper, it was supposed to be an educational channel.
Just because you're too uninformed of a physician when it comes to how these things function doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's talking to the doctor, not the idiot fox thing.
A young British woman showing awareness of a rare and serious trauma disorder. She said that she had been diagnosed with DID, which used to be called multiple personality disorder, and she wanted to spread awareness. The videos at first were calm, authentic, and clean. The tone was patient and, to be honest, was very educational. The growth, especially, was absolutely insane. In fact, by May 2021, the channel had passed 1 million subscribers. And now, by 2026,
I used her videos to ask my friends if that was what it looked like when I went from one me to the other me. So, do with that what you will.
it's sitting at around 1.1 million, with around 256 videos and close to 88 million total views. For reference, the next
Fawn in this is kind of disgusting, but continue.
biggest DID content creator on YouTube has around 66,000 subscribers. So it's safe to say that Dissociative isn't just the biggest name in the space, but she is the space. But here where things start to get a little bit strange, because everything she's built her channel around and on don't really seem to hold up the way she presented it for years. For instance, Dissociative has repeatedly referred to being officially diagnosed with DID. The source of the diagnosis is a UK facility called the Pottergate Centre, run by Rami Akarone. But here's the problem. Pottergate's own website on their own client page states that what they do is screening, not a formal diagnosis. In the UK, a formal DID diagnosis requires a psychiatrist, not a psychotherapist. And well, Akarone is a psychotherapist. So
I
to put
was
it bluntly,
diagnosed
the
by a
entire starting point
specialist.
of this 1 million subscriber career is a confirmation from a place that openly admits it doesn't give formal diagnosis. She later claimed another psychologist diagnosed
If it's in your file, you're diagnosed. If it's in their file, it's diagnosed.
her years ago, but this was never mentioned again after the success of her channel. A detail like that doesn't just slip your mind when your entire career is built
Or the point isn't to advertise the center, but to make the disorder itself less scary.
on it. That's the first thread. Pull it and the whole sweater starts to come apart. Now let's talk about the alters, because
How?
this is where the story generally gets very bizarre. Dissociative has presented over 20 identities on her channel over the years. Chloe, the original host, Kyle, a male protector with an Essex accent who wears men's clothing and a signature hat. Neil, a red-haired lesbian alter. Kaya, a gender-fluid alter who emerged after Kyle and Nin supposedly fused, and the list goes on. I'm not going to describe all 20 of them, because I'm sure if you clicked on this video by now, you probably know about them. And to put it bluntly, this isn't dissociative identity disorder. No, this is what we call cosplay. Let me explain
False.
what actual DID looks like, because this is where the channel falls apart the hardest. The world's leading body on this disorder is the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, the ISSTD. Their clinical guidelines, published in the Journal of Trauma and Dissociation, have been the gold standard for decades. Alongside them, you have Dr. Richard Clough, one of the world's cited researchers in the entire field.
They had a DID, the only thing I can think of is con, and I'm pretty sure it's not a convention. I'm pretty sure I saw that guy on there too. Hold on. If you're actually curious about this shit, since I recognized the guy's photo, there was, conference. It was con. So there was a DID conference recently, and there's a recording of all of it. Well, maybe not all of it, a bunch of it here. I recognized that guy's face from one of these, so he had a presentation. I think it's at the CTAD clinic. If you're actually curious, if you're just losers looking for bait, then grow up.
Clough's research, going all the way back to 1985, found that only around 5 to 6% of DID cases presented with visible, obvious fluoride switching. Roughly 95% of DID
What's
is
switching?
covert, hidden, unnoticeable to anyone watching. That's not an opinion. That's
I'll let you
4
continue.
decades of clinical data. Okay, so now, Dr. Matthew Robertson at McLean Hospital.
Okay, so this is going to be easy for me because I grew up in a cult where they perceived anything similar to this as demon possession. So naturally, not wanting to be kicked out of the group, I hid this, and guess what? Society is all Christian-centric, which has the whole Legion mythos, which has been terrible for us because it made it a horror trope. Anyway, that is why I hid it. Do you know who I didn't hide it from? People I knew were safe. People I had warmed up to and learned were safe. Do you know who I didn't show it to? Any random person I met. Except online. I didn't hide it online. It felt safer there because they couldn't reach me, and I was somebody else not connected to this religious cult. So you're gonna have to get used to seeing more as the whole left-hand grab situation happens.
A Harvard teaching hospital gave a lecture in 2023 specifically about this trend. His direct words were that switches seen in genuine DID, when you see them at all, are subtle, often unnoticed by outside observers. Dr. Bethany Brand, one of the top names
You can see them if you know what you're looking for.
in dissociative research, put it even plainer on the American Psychological Association.
Usually, you can see it when you know what you're looking for. I have a hard time knowing when someone very close to me switches, and that's mostly because their system is built differently. It's, I think OSDD, but don't quote me on it. They're not actually diagnosed out of choice. I got diagnosed because I am a social bastard and exist online.
Podcast. She said if it was that obvious then, when people switched states, it would be easily diagnosed. But that's what movies do to make it look right to the audience. And that's not actually
It's a condition that's only recently being understood from a wider angle. There's been specialists for a while.
what DID really looks like. Dr. Andrea Giederheden, a pediatric psychiatrist at Washington University in St. Louis, called it even simpler. She said DID is a disorder of hiddenness. That's the real word. A real expert uses to describe a condition people spend their lives trying to conceal. Real people
I'd call it more, Actually, no, that does make sense from a point of view of a lot of systems are made from fear, and it's one part protecting the part that is afraid. Just restart from here.
Named in dissociative research put it even plainer on the American Psychological Association podcast. She said if it was that obvious then, when people switched states, it would be easily diagnosed. But that's what movies do to make it look right to the audience. And that's not actually what DID really looks like. Dr. Andrea Giederhaden, a pediatric psychiatrist at Washington University in St. Louis, called it even...
Wait. Intentional switches are also more, like, visible?
simpler. She said DID is a disorder of hiddenness. That's the real word a real expert uses to describe a condition people spend their lives trying to conceal. Real people with DID don't advertise themselves. The average patient takes between 5 and 12 years to even get correctly diagnosed, according to ISTD guidelines, because they spend years hiding the symptoms, out of shame and, honestly, confusion.
No, I always knew what was happening. I just thought it was a demon and that anyone knowing would try to fucking kill me.
Around 70% of DID patients attempted unaliving themselves. Most are hospitalized at some point. Most can't even hold a stable employment. Most are ashamed of the disorder and afraid of being seen as broken. Now let's compare that to what Dissociative shows on her YouTube channel. Well, scheduled switches, cinematic camera cues, color-coded wardrobes, captions that pop up saying no one is in the body right now, switching on
Okay, but that's a thing. It's just like when we're stuck in a middle state. Like if you're doing the car visualization, it's the time when one is handing off the seat. It's the power diverting. It's the multiple alters having different thoughts at the same time, thinking at each other. We have conversations in the head. It kind of looks like zoning out in real life.
demand during live streams, 20 plus alters introduced with their own release day videos, like Marvel characters, in an ongoing franchise. And for the people that ask, why would she do all of this? What would be the point? Well, she actually has quite the stack of things rolling in the money for her. A company registered with the UK Companies House.
Oh no. Person who can't work a physical job finds another way to substitute income with the one thing that makes her different that could be a learning experience for somebody else. How dare. Jesus
a monetized Patreon, a merch store, a thriving TikTok account with over 300,000 followers, not hidden, not subtle, not convert, the exact opposite of everything the experts have said.
Again,
and when you
not
ask the
hiding.
experts directly, they don't mix words. Dr. Robinson called this style of presentation immersive.
I would also like to mention that it would be a hidden disorder in that the parts are made originally because part of you wanted to hide and the other part had to stick up for you. And one part takes its experience and keeps going, and the other one buries it away to be unearthed later. Well, I lost my thought.
DID, a form of malingering where someone appears to have a dissociative condition to gain attention or status. He specifically called out
That conveniently blocks actual systems with agency and urge to stop this stupidity around other people just wanting to exist and being seen as monsters.
TikTok of people doing costume changes as not characteristic of what real DID patients do daily. Dr. Richard Bear, the psychologist who wrote the book Switching Time.
I also find it kind of hilarious that people who only see the system in a doctor setting think that we're like this everywhere. That's like a kid thinking a teacher lives in a school.
About a real DID case, said it would be unusual for a DID patient to exhibit themselves on social media because DID is a defense against trauma, and most patients would protect themselves and not show it out there on full display. Let that sit for a while. The actual medical community describes DID as a defense against trauma that people hide. Dissociative has built a 7-figure subscriber career by doing the literal opposite, and then
Because we shouldn't have to. Jesus Christ, I'm Mystique.
we get to Murmur. This is where things stop being suspicious and just honestly start being ridiculous. In April 2023, Dissociative introduced a new alter. A fucking mermaid. Nope.
Oh, here we go. Am I prepared to talk about this? Fuck it, we ball.
Not a metaphorical mermaid, a literal fucking mermaid named Murmur, described as a non-human caretaker holding water.
We had one called, fuck, what was it, Mia? Yeah, it was Mia. She Wasn't really holding a trauma, more knowledge of something that happened in a pool. She was like a Green Lantern fish. We want to draw her at some point because she was kind of cool looking, but also it sounds tedious.
Human caretaker holding water-related trauma, of course.
Yeah.
And now, of course, critics on TikTok pointed out the obvious problem with this.
Mine was because I used to dissociate in the pool, and things happened in the pool that I didn't want to think about, so once again, I buried it. And years later, when it resurfaced again, it looked like that. Like, all of this is in your head. It's not, I'm a literal mermaid. It's, this trauma has affected your mental image of yourself on the inside.
The water trauma backstory wasn't in any of the previous years of trauma narratives. It appeared
It's almost like it's a forgetting disorder.
right as the mermaid appeared, conveniently.
Right. I didn't exist as an alter until... I don't remember when we watched... Wait, I can check. This channel was made for it because I showed up pretty mad at somebody that we're friends with. Let's see. January 23. When was Arcane Season 1 Act 2 released? November 3rd. Okay, so after Arcane Season... It threw the part that I was front because it reminded me of something I really, really missed. Basically, I've lost a lot of father figures, and the relationship between Jinx and Silco kind of made me think of a stand-in that I also lost. Temporarily, I guess. Because we were nuts enough to hunt them down. Not physically. Like, we found them online because they use the same username at other places. He didn't know I existed or was mad at him. Because I wasn't the version that hunted him down. I mean, I was, but it was another me. You know, I'm kind of understanding why they had alter-specific introductions. It would make it easier if you want to explain a thing and don't want to do it every video.
Providing a backstory for a non-human alter to exist. And what makes it even worse is it suspiciously looks
Oh, also, because of that, I used to look more like one alter, but then I looked more like Jinx because our hair was blue at the time. And I was having a bit of an identity crisis because the other me had stuck around the whole time since before I left. Once again, feelings that were buried turned into archetypes of characters for our minds to work through. I'm not even sure if I'm staying on topic. Let's just keep going.
extremely familiar to Disney's Ariel. Which is going to be a bit of a common theme of dissociative stealing characters.
Yeah, the me being yeeted forward was disorienting as fuck.
From fictional films or TV series. Now, non-human alters do not exist clinically. That's documented in research. Kluft wrote about them as far back as the 80s, but real clinical non-human alters usually form in very early childhood.
The wiring in your brain doesn't have full connection to reality. We think in characters and archetypes and the media we've been given growing up.
With a specific productive function related to trauma. They don't arrive in characters, mid-20s, fully formed, matching a pop culture classic with a matching backstory. This isn't even the first time this has happened. Critics have also compiled the fact that her alter, Omega, described as a ghost, shares striking similarities with imagery from a pair of books about satanic ritual abuse, and the
I'm not going to repeat myself.
trauma-based mid-control in her Sims 4 Inner World video looked nearly identical to the illustrations in the same books. That pattern of alters and inner world detail
Oh no, the media we ingest has something to do with the world in our head, especially when it comes to visual people.
lining up suspiciously with outside source material is something community investigators have been documenting for years in publicly
Community investigators is a funny word for bullies, but carry on.
Shared Google Docs about Dissociative. Then there's the Fusion video. On June 2021, Dissociated released a video called Kyle and Nin's Fusion, multiple personalities becoming one. In it, she presents the moment two alters allegedly merged into one identity called Kaya on camera in real time. That was lucky she caught that. And viewers, including other
Okay, that is weird, but I've heard a lot of psychiatrists suggest systems use a video camera to get messages across the system. So that essentially opens a door. Is that too literal for you? Either way, it starts the bridge that allows the wiring to start to connect to another altar, essentially gain the ability to communicate back and forth, where before one of them was buried from the perspective of the other. And nope, I lost my thought.
other people with DID immediately called it for what it looked like, acting. Because here's...
Oh, right. Also, when you're fusing, you know it's coming. You can feel it. You start blurring a lot more between alters. You suddenly start mixing up interests and stuff, and one will suddenly feel like it's hard to reach. Then the wiring becomes something else, but with the memories of two. Like, I have memories from Jay, the first Luna, Mia, probably Elise. I don't know, I've got several memory branches in my part of the brain, the part that makes me, the point of view that I come from. Just keep going.
Is the real thing. Real alter fusion, according to the ISSTD clinical definition, is an internal experience. It's not two or more identities joining together with...
Also, it'd be good to make that less scary because it is healing. I'm not saying that you have to fuse to heal. I'm saying that sometimes the part will feel like its story is complete and it's okay with being part of the rest.
With a complete loss of subjective awareness. It happens inside someone's head, usually gradually, usually over years of therapy. It's definitely not a filmable event. It's not a set piece, you just schedule an upload for Thursday's video. Look, if your biggest content moment is that exact moment your own disorder is supposed to be resolving and you've filmed it with a monetization, well, that's obviously not therapy, is it? That's just straight up content. And coincidentally enough, this all happened right at the second major storm was hitting her life. The lawsuit. Now here's the short version, because the full version of this is now 4 years deep and it's still ongoing. In 2020, a man named Sergio Costa started volunteering for the channel. He helped with the...
Careful, he's litigious.
Written disclaimers, the copyright document.
Of course, it's litigious to people who are pointing out that he's being a dick.
Documentation and the various behind the scenes work is supposed to be resolving and you've filmed it with a monetization. Well, that's obviously not therapy, is it? That's just straight up content. And coincidentally enough, this all happened right at the second major storm was hitting her life. The lawsuit. Now here's the short version, because the full version of this is now 4 years deep and it's still ongoing. In 2020, a man named Sergio Costa started volunteering for the channel. He helped with the written disclaimers, the copyright documentation.
Sometimes something traumatic can cause a fusion. Like, me realizing that the religion I grew up in was fake fused two whole altars into the system. Kit went to Lou, and I don't remember where Oren... Oh, Oren went to Kel.
And the various behind the scenes work. According to the court record, the relationship fell apart in November 2020 after Costa figured out how much the channel was actually earning. The court judgment confirmed that her 2019 gross earnings were well over...
He literally helped her write a disclaimer that she added to the rest of her videos. In YouTube, there's a thing where you can change the description of all your videos at once, but it deletes the old description. He's claiming all those videos from before he was even involved. Let's see if he gets into this.
£57,000.
I'm expecting not.
Around just under $80,000 US, and 2020 gross earnings were around £105,000 for a self-described mental...
Oh no, disabled person finds way to make money. And it isn't selling their... Carry on.
ill creator running awareness channel. That's honestly some real money from just her YouTube channel alone. Costa failed copyright strikes.
Because it's a presumably rare... Because of the left-hand graph. I don't believe that it's as rare as people think it is, but because it's a perceived rare disorder, that's why it got so popular. And she's really good at makeup and she's cute.
Dissociative says 82 videos were removed and 12 strikes hit the channel. He served a legal claim in April 2021 that Dissociative had launched a crowd justice fundraiser to cover
Oh, so he's gonna actually cover the crowdfunding?
legal fees, with a target of around £200,000. And as of 2026, that fundraiser
the
has
law is made for people with money. You don't fucking say.
pulled in £176,000 from more than 5,000 people. Please do not give your money away to online creators who claim to have things with no proof. Anyway. The case went to the UK Intellectual Property Enterprise Courts in June 2022. The judgment came down in July 2022, and it was mixed. The court found that Costco was not her employee. There was no contract, but she was the sole author of the channel's disclaimer, and some joint works did exist, where both parties had rights. Costa's breach of contract counterclaim was dismissed. Dissociative counterclaim about the taken down notices succeeded in part. Costa appealed in November 2025. The Court of Appeal largely dismissed his appeal and ordered him to pay £28,000 in costs. So yeah, in legal terms, Dissociative has largely won. She's still winning. The final damages haven't been quantified yet, and the case is back in the lower court for that. But simply winning the lawsuit doesn't answer the question the fans are actually asking, which is, why does a mentally ill disabled woman who can't work need to raise nearly £200,000 from her audience, while simultaneously running a monetized YouTube channel, a monetized Patreon, a monetized Ko-Fi, a monetized TikTok, a merch store on Teespring, and a merch store on Redbubble, and a registered limited company on Company's House, while producing enough content to stay the biggest DID creator on the platform? I mean, to be honest, it's kind of a fair question, and it hasn't really been answered yet. The company is called Dissociative Ltd, Bubble, and a registered limited company on Company's House, while producing enough content to stay the biggest DID creator on the platform. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of a fair question, and it hasn't really been answered yet. The company is called Dissociative.
Y'all. Okay, where was I?
The platform. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of a fair question, and it hasn't really been answered yet. The Ko-Fi, a monetized TikTok, a merch store on Teespring, and a merch store on Redbubble, and a registered limited company on Company's House, while producing enough content to stay the biggest DID creator on the platform. I mean,
it's almost like you can schedule a post.
To be honest, it's kind of a fair question, and it hasn't really been answered yet. The company is called Dissociative Ltd, registered in 2020, with Carl Wilkinson as the sole director and sole shareholder. The company files what are called micro-entity accounts, which is a UK reporting category that's sole director. The company is called Dissociative Ltd, registered in 2020, with Carl Wilkinson as the sole director and sole shareholder. The company files what are called micro-entity accounts, which is a UK reporting category that doesn't require you to disclose your actual turnover. So we generally cannot verify the real money running through this channel. But what we do know is a rough estimate from at least a few thousand on YouTube and ad revenue alone to substantially more once you factor in all the other sources of income. So yes, this is a real business built upon claiming to have DID, even if all her videos don't really make much sense when you compare it to other people with actual DID. That's why so many people that have this disorder call out.
Literally every system experiences the disorder differently, but with a lot of the same base principles, like burying something you've experienced in the back of your mind and just moving on and trying to forget it, and then it comes back as its own person, its own point of view, its own makeup, etc.
These types of behaviors, because it's just not what they see in themselves. It doesn't reflect this disorder. It makes no sense. Now, the final piece of the puzzle are the allegations. And here we have to tread kind of carefully, because a lot built upon claiming to have DID, even if all her videos don't really make much sense when you compare it to other people with actual DID. That's why so many people that have this disorder call out these types of behaviors, because it's just not what they see in themselves. It doesn't reflect this disorder. It makes no sense. Now, the final piece of the puzzle are the allegations. And here we have to tread kind of carefully, because a lot of what actual critics say about dissociative on TikTok right now, well, they come from secondary sources. So let's try to stick with some stuff that is well documented. In 2020, dissociative was in a relationship with another DID creator, Team Pinata. That relationship ended badly. Serious allegations emerged online about content. Team Pinata was associated with allegations that the community has taken extremely seriously, and which have been covered.
Oh no, new person who did something bad and was also backstabbed. Let's blame the person that was backstabbed.
In detail by other commentators. Dissociative has publicly stated that this former partner was abusive. The TikTok comment section under the tag #Car and CO exposed contain a much heavier set of accusations, some of which named Dissociative as having been aware of the problematic content. Those specific claims have not been verified through the primary source available to this investigation, but the shadow of that relationship followed Dissociative for 6 straight years, and she has never fully addressed it on the channel. And what we can verify from this list of
It's almost like the cycle of abuse. It's almost like that's a known cycle. It's almost like, duh.
Of former friends and collaborators who have...
We don't fucking know everything that happened. Do you know everything your friend has ever done? If you do, how are you more nosy than I am?
Publicly turned on her. Brielle, DID, Bunch, as a former close collaborator who once co-hosted a podcast with her, has publicly alleged she doctored screenshots during conflicts. Twilight's Region, a former friend, has a video called Cleaning Up Dissociative's Lies About Me. Bobo and Co., another DID creator, has alleged physical contact during their friendship. Chelsea Moon and Nish, commentary indigenous content creators, have publicly called out the Nadia altar as racist, with other YouTube content creators making long videos discussing all the things that Dissociative has done.
The archetypes and characters that your brain connects to are going to be based on things you were raised around. You can't pick the color of your altar. You can learn that calling them that is wrong. You shouldn't be fucking dogpiled for it.
And to be honest, at this point, the pattern is always the same. Someone gets close, the relationship breaks, and suddenly the former friend has things to say about her.
It's almost like someone with, what's the word?
A screenshot discussing all the things that Dissociative has done. And to be honest, at this point, the pattern is always the same.
The doctoring screenshots is, but I'll admit I don't know what happened there. I don't go on TikTok.
Who once co-hosted a podcast with her, has publicly alleged but the shadow of that relationship followed Dissociative for 6 straight years, and she has never fully addressed it on the channel. And what we can verify,
because it's triggering. Carry on.
From this list of former friends and collaborators who have publicly turned on her, Brielle, DID, Bunch, as a former...
Rated. Unless they changed their name, then I guess you're right. I don't know.
Close collaborator who once co-hosted a podcast with her, has publicly alleged she doctored screenshots during...
I can't prove or deny that, but I will say a bunch of people with attachment issues are gonna have a hard time with each other.
Conflicts. Twilight's Region, a former friend, has a video called Cleaning Up Dissociative's Lies About Me. Bobo and Co., another DID creator, has alleged physical contact during their friendship.
I don't know who that other person was. The thing that happened with Bo, I still think that sucked, but also... DID isn't easy for either party.
Chelsea Moon and Nish, commentary indigenous content creators, have publicly called out the Nadia altar as racist, with other YouTube content creators making long videos discussing all the things that Dissociative has done. And to be honest, at this point, the pattern is always the same. Someone gets close, the relationship breaks, and suddenly the former friend has things to say about her screenshots, about her behavior, about manipulation, and so on. I mean, let's be honest, all the red flags are there. So here we are in 2026, the channel is still up. The latest video from January 2026 is a tutorial on how to map your own DID system, and the one before that was...
That was actually really useful. I didn't realize how many more connections Lou had than I did, even though we've been designated fronters.
was a live stream on DID and imposter syndrome, and all her sources of income are still
Yes, imposter syndrome is a huge part of it. It's really hard to pretend that it's fake after your first few fusions, though.
very much up and running, and the crowd justice is still active, even though the lawsuit is still kind of grinding through British courts, and the subscribers for the most part, honestly, are still there. In fact, I know when I make these types of videos, a lot of people in the comments will get angry because this is one of the ones that they don't want to believe are lying. And I get it. When you subscribe and you trust someone, it can be somewhat embarrassing to find out maybe they weren't really telling the truth. But you know what? Draw your own conclusion. I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence there to draw from, but I'm not going to tell you guys what to actually think. I think the thing to understand is just how much damage this causes, because this isn't just about one career.
This, as in this video that you're making right now.
It's about real people with real DID. Try to live normal lives,
That
while
you're
other content
bullying.
creators like this are making these absurd videos, making it look childish, making it look like a game.
She's not making it look childish. She's making it look like a completely normal adult human can exist with this, and it can be managed and isn't the end of your life.
As they make loads of money doing so. Just think about it. If you were one of the unlucky people that
person
had one of those
learns
very
that.
traumatic childhoods, and were one of the people who, which there's less than 1%, have DID and really do
By
have
the way, it isn't like traumatic as in a really bad trauma, although that can cause it. It is a lot of mini traumas. Eventually, the person's window of tolerance is exceeded, and it overflows into another one.
it, and watch big communities and audiences form from these types of videos, so other random people on the internet can draw these conclusions about you, even though you have nothing to do with these videos and don't want anything to do with them. But random people that come onto YouTube and see this stuff from these types of videos, so other random people on the internet can draw these conclusions about you, even though you have nothing to do with these videos and don't want anything to do with them. But random people
Who's the idiot saying that one person is what every person of that kind is like? Isn't that like racism but for mental illness? Is there an ism word for that?
that come onto YouTube and see this stuff and click on it as they pass through and think of just how ridiculous this is and how DID must be a made-up thing and draw that conclusion, which, by the way, I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, if someone's doing a wardrobe change and dancing in front of the camera and that was all I went off of, yeah, I'd probably assume DID isn't real as well. But the algorithm pushes these types of videos to come to the surface as the more detailed and documented types of videos that try to educate viewers, well, the algorithm doesn't really care much for those because they don't get as many clicks, they're not as clickbaity, loud, and they don't make as much money. I am somewhat still amazed how a channel of this size is still ongoing, but to be honest, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the
People
comments
like
down below.
looking
I'm
at a
genuinely
pretty
curious
person
to hear
while
what you
they're
guys
telling
actually think
you
about this. And if you really do have
things they
DID or suffer with anything
experienced,
like this, let me know how
especially
this
if
really
it's
makes you feel in the
fascinating
comments
and
down below.
something
With all
you
of that being
don't
said, I hope you guys have had a
understand.
fantastic day, and I'll see you all next week.
Unfortunately, that results in subsets of your type who only look for fault. Fascinating. Anyway, I have to go again, so like and follow or whatever. I don't know if I'll do another one of these, but I might. I might also do Arcane. Who knows? Bye!